got involved with Solomon Kane partly because I'm just a huge fantasy movie fan, you know, and there were no fantasy movies getting made. So when I met some producers in England and they said, we have the rights to this character, Solomon Kane, have you heard of him? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I read the Robert Howard stories when I was a kid, and I never imagined for a second I'd get the chance to bring this guy to the screen. So I had to go back and I had to read the stories again, because I hadn't read them for, 15, 20 years, and figure out a way of sort of introducing the audience to the guy. But I wanted him to be a little bit more conflicted in interesting ways. I wanted to try and find a way of explain to the audience why he was this believer, why he was a character who felt that he was being directed by a higher power, and also put some stuff that I was interested in as a fantasy writer, not just slavishly do Howard's work, but say, I can get Howard's tone, I can create the character so that at the end of the movie, he's the Solomon Kane that hopefully the fans of Solomon Kane will understand, and that people who've never heard of Solomon Kane and don't care will go, that's an interesting character, I'd like to see what he does next. With Solomon Kane, I wanted to make it first and foremost a story about a man, so it's a character piece. Because I also kind of knew that I wasn't going to be able to have gigantic battles. I was going to have to focus on the character, and that's kind of what I'm most interested in. And in my other movies, I've always tried to make sure that character comes first, and that story is part of the character journey. Now, of course, you're making a fantasy movie, so you sort of follow certain conventions, because that's accepted, you know? You try and break them a little bit, but that's what you're going to do. So, and it's classically good versus evil. But if your character is also a little bit evil, and he's trying to be good, that suddenly becomes interesting. I kind of like conflicted characters. I like dark characters. Now, the actors I always had in mind were serious, dramatic actors. And I'd known James Purefoy a little bit before. He's not a big star, but he'd done some really good TV, and I'd liked him, and we wanted to do something together. And they suggested it for Solomon Kane, and I'd kind of thought, wow, is James right? So it was always tonally, you know, once you've agreed, once you've cast it, you sort of give the character to the actor. And I said to James, you know, now you're Solomon Kane, right? Now you have the script, you know what I've wanted to achieve, we've rehearsed it. It's you. Now, I'm going to have to trust a lot of your choices, and sometimes you'd make a choice and I come, let's come and talk about this a second, you know? And he said, no, I want to do it for this reason, because I think down the line the character's going to play this way. You know, I don't want to drift too far from the character, or I need us to get to a place where this will pay off. And sometimes I'll just say, stand there because that's where the camera is, you know? Whatever works. Is Solomon Kane religious propaganda? Not deliberately by me. You know, I'm interested in religion. I'm not a believer myself, but I'm really interested in religion. I'm interested in why people believe in things. And the truth of the matter is, you can't make a Solomon Kane movie without religion being a fundamental part of it, because that's the character. You know, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be making Solomon Kane. If I'd created a completely unique character, perhaps that big religious theme in there wouldn't be so strong. But I felt if I was going to do service to adapting Robert Howard's character, then I needed to make sure that was part of it. Now, of course, the character believes in God. I mean, initially he doesn't really believe in God, but he comes to believe he's on a mission from God. Whether he's right or wrong is not relevant. For him, he's right. There's a point in the movie where a witch woman says, you know, my pagan God is more powerful than your Christian God. So I want to leave the world open for different kinds of belief and different kind of religion. So is it propaganda? It's absolutely not propaganda. Can you read it as propaganda if you want to? Yes, you can. I cannot tell you whether the saga of Solomon Kane will continue. That is a choice that producers and financiers make, and the audience as well, you know. But there's a number of ways I can take him forwards. I left the movie in a way which, yes, you can follow his stories. And whether he goes on to huge adventures in Africa or all these exotic places that Robert Howard writes for him, which I'd love to do, or we take him down a darker route and it becomes a kind of horror sword and sorcery, which is also really interesting to me, because that's not really been done. These are choices that will be made by people other than me. I can tell you that I'd happily spend some more time with the character, and I know James Purefoy will. So long as we're available and as long as people want it, there may be one.
Come on. There are many paths to redemption, not all of them peaceful.